guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we are looking at the Civivi Riffle, which is a really nice knife for a pretty comfortable price. But what I want to do is couch this discussion, this review, in terms of value. And I think one of the things that stands out to me about this, and a number of other knives that I'm going to show you guys, is you can get so much knife for $50 that I really feel like these days there's hardly enough reason to spend more. I know there are better things you can get, and I'll talk about that as we kind of work our way through here. But at $50, you can probably get the one knife that you would need for the rest of your life and never have to worry about it again. I guess if you break it or lose it, you'd have to buy another one. But short of that, you can get so much for 50 bucks these days that it's ridiculous. Now, let me hasten to add that I love some of my more expensive knives. I'm going to continue to carry them, to use them, to buy them, to review them. You're going to see them on the channel. And by the way, I should point out that often the point that I'm making right now, someone will come in and comment on any review that I make. And for a while, there was a guy who would consistently just scold me harshly if I ever reviewed a knife, say over about $100, sometimes even less than that. And he would just get so mad and say, something along the lines of, if you're spending more than $50 on a knife, you're an idiot. This reviewer is an idiot. All of you people who are watching him are idiots. And he would just like lose his mind. Kind of humorous to watch. I will say I get some kind of perverse pleasure out of making people's brains explode like that. But that is a sentiment that's out there, and a knife like this can reinforce that a little bit. So let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, I guess the other thing I should say, the one reason that I'm bringing this up is because as a reviewer, I get asked to make recommendations a lot. Kevin, I need a knife with these specifications. Can you tell me something that's good to buy? And while there are lots of things out there, it's easier when you're asking someone else to spend their money. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but it's easier to say, yeah, buy this $30 item, buy this $50 item, than it is to say, buy this $300 item. Okay, then there are some exceptions, but when it comes to knives, you can get a lot for 50 bucks. Now, I will say my most recommended knives, all right, if you want a list, are the American Lawman, the Manix 2, some version of the Manix 2, and the Code 4. I think those are all great knives. I think they're, some of the best things that their respective companies are doing. And I think they strike a balance between getting a ton of utility and toughness and durability, while at the same time coming in at a reasonable price. Okay, I know those are not as cheap as this, but I do think you're getting tangible benefits from going with one of those other options. Anyway, let's get back to this knife in particular and get into this discussion a little bit more. So this is a pretty standard size knife, 8 inches overall, almost 3.5 inches on the blade. It's like 3 7/16, 4.5 inches on the handle, which is pretty nice. So this does not take up a lot of pocket space. 3 5/8 grip area, so lots of grip area there, and 3.4 ounces. Very comfortable knife to carry around in your pocket. So size and weight there is really good. Now, I want to that discussion. You can get knives of any size, so that doesn't really fit into my value discussion. So let's get into it. First off, the blade. All right, so what we have here is a blade of 14C28N, and also a blade that the camera does not want to focus on. There we go. 14C28N with a stonewash blasted finish. It's either a very fine stonewash. It looks like they've done a stonewash and then put a bead blast over it, which it looks really cool. It's a nice looking blade. In 14C28N, this is fairly thick blade stock, so this is definitely ground to slice a little more than be really tough and durable, although the flat grind balances that out a little. But let me say about 14C28N, it is pretty well my favorite budget steel because it's just phenomenal in terms of performance. The edge retention is fantastic. It's highly stainless. It's very tough, tougher than a lot of its competitors. If you put it up against VG10, for example, which is going to offer similar performance, or maybe N690, 154CM might be getting a little closer. But well, the edge retention may be similar. The toughness is going to be better with the 14C28N, which is fantastic for an EDC knife where you never know kind of what you're going to be getting into. That's really helpful. And so in terms of value, yeah, I know for sure, right, that M390 or S30V even, lots of steels we could name, on and on the list would go, right? CTSX HP or S35VN or lots of steels, S45 these days, which is really hot. I mean, they're going to have better performance, no question. However, how often does the average knife user need the performance of S35VN or CTSX-HP or S30V, right? Very, very rarely. And I've raised this point before, and I'm sure it'll come up again. But for most of us, right, 8CR 13 MOV is probably fine. Now, I still don't like it because I feel like for that price point, there are a lot of better options, so why not? Okay, and I do think that matters, right? If you say, well, this steel is good enough, but there are better options that you could have for the same price, well, then it's kind of like, well, why not go with the better option then, right? So I will kind of put that into the discussion. But, you know, a steel like this, a steel like D2, let's see, we've got a wrap model 1 here in D2. What other steels do I represent? That's, I guess they're all D2. Oh, this is 9CR Damascus. So 9CR 18 MOV is kind of where I'm going with this particular blade. But these blade steels that are definitely, yes, on the budget end of the spectrum. And now, let's see. I think both Civivi and Artisan have, you know, their own proprietary steels that have pretty nice performance, and again are coming in at a very comfortable price point. So in terms of blade steel, right, I think, wow, for 50 bucks you can get a blade that's phenomenal, that's really, really going to perform exceptionally well. And certainly of those budget blade steels, 14C28 is one of my very, very favorites. All right, moving on to the action. All right, so we've got this nice slicey blade. Now, I will say, if you want something that's really tough, if you want something that's like heavy duty or tactical for outdoor use or something like that, or, you know, anything that's going to be what I usually call EDC plus type of use, you might want something a little more robust, right? That's where I would probably lean toward an American Lawman or Code 4 or a couple other options we could think of. Even the Manix 2 lockback with the thicker blade stock might be a good option for you. But for general EDC tasks, this is fantastic. That does bring us into the action. So it's a liner lock, and I get that some people want a stronger lock than that. All right, it is on bearings. The detent is quite nice. You can Spidey flick this beautifully. And so in terms of action, this is a really fast, really satisfying knife without question. Now there are others, okay? So this is the Civivi Dogma, great action as well. Where's the shredder? I had it here. So there it is. This is the Civivi Shredder, another knife with phenomenal action. Civivi, by the way, gets these pretty dialed in pretty consistently. Another good knife that has nice, enjoyable action is the Kershaw, what do we got here? The Highball XL. This is a little smaller, probably closer in size to the Dogma. All right, but pretty nice action. And listen, guys, I don't find myself recommending a ton of Kershaws, so this one is pretty good, right? And you know, at this point, when I get a Kershaw, I'm just hoping that there's not some glaring issue with it. This one's pretty darn good. The CJRB Feldspar. This one, of course, is the White Mountain Knives exclusive, and it's in a brown micarta. It's really, really nice, and would be, right, a pretty good a competitive option to this. Apparently they're doing one of these in a stainless steel as well, or maybe the new proprietary artisan steel. That could be what I'm thinking of right now. So there are lots of knives, and by the way, the Rat Model 1 should be on this list as well, because it has that nice snappy action without bearings, right? So this is and this is a knife, I would say, if you're going to do some outdoor stuff, this might do the trick for you. Anyway, really good action on all of these. And could you get better action? You know, does my Riot Torrent have better action? Does my Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon have better action? Yes, right, without a doubt. But you're talking, these knives are like a small fraction of the price of those knives, and the performance that you're getting for that, all that extra money, a lot of extra money, is really not a huge step up. Especially, you know, a knife like this, this with the thicker, heavier blade stock is a pretty robust folder. I would feel very comfortable, you know, taking this into the forest with me. Same is true of the Rat Model 1. So the extra toughness, you can find that in budget knives. It's maybe not quite as common, but it is out there. And so, you know, again, we have an example where, let's get some of these other knives out of the way for a second. We can perhaps bring them in again later. But for now, The riffle is great, and it's going to do all that you would ever need your knife to do, and it's going to be really, really enjoyable for a very comfortable price point. And finally, let's get to the handle. Now, I will say this micarta is not quite as nice. In fact, it's not quite as nice as the micarta on the CJRB, but this is not quite as nice as the micarta on some higher end knives that you could get. However, this still does the one thing that micarta is known for, and that is if you get this a little bit damp, it is still very grippy. And so that's the one area where micarta really, really does shine is, if you're really sweaty, if you're working hard and that kind of thing, micarta is a great option because it kind of grabs you back when you grab a hold of it. And we saw a few other knives with good handle materials too here in the last couple of minutes. So the riffle is a great knife for the money. I think it's an attractive design. Now you may not, and let me get a little bit general here. I do think maybe you don't like the riffle, but you just want something that's pretty budget friendly. Civivi has a ton of great options, and I'm trying to think back if I've ever tried a Civivi. Some of the Isham designs, the ergonomics were a little bit weird, okay? But I think you could get used to it. But outside of those Isham designs, Elijah Isham, who, by the way, I like Elijah Isham a lot. Great guy. I find some of his knives are a little bit form over function. This is certainly not. This is very, very functional and looks great doing it. And there are a ton of Civivis that would fit into this camp. The Dogma right now is one of my favorite Civivis. I like the hollow grind a little better than the flat grind for a knife like this. Okay, I think of these as more EDC style knives, as lightweight cutting tools, as designed for slicing type of work. And so I do like that hollow grind. I would like to see Civivi do something a little heavier duty. I would just like to see their take on that with a little thicker liner lock maybe, or with a heavy duty back lock, thicker blade stock, a little more robust grind, something to compete with the Rat Model 1 or with some cold steels that are out there. That would be an interesting thing to see from them. Nothing springs to mind that fits that category. And so if you've got a suggestion down below, go ahead and let me know in the comments. But the other thing we have to say from this video is, look, I've shown you guys a bunch of really, really capable folders that don't cost a lot of money. And no, is this going to be, I was saying you should throw away all your Spydercos and throw away all your titanium frame locks and throw away anything that costs more than, I don't know, $65? No, not at all. I'm not saying that for a second, but I am saying that, if you're out there looking for a knife, you don't need to feel like you have to spend a ton of money to get something good. And there are some places, I'm a mountain biker as well. This is a bit of an aside, but a good mountain bike, I'm really looking for a dual suspension bike, and to find one that does what I need it to do, that's not thousands of dollars. And I don't mean like 1,500 or 2,000, but like 3, 4, 5, 6,000 bucks is really, really difficult. There are some out there, but it's a tough go finding one. With knives, not so. You can really save yourself some funds. You don't have to break the bank to get an absolutely great knife that will do everything that you would ever need it to do. Now, are there things you might want it to do that you're willing to spend more money on? Without a doubt, okay? And I get that, and I feel the same way, and I've got tons of really, really nice, more expensive knives that I love, and I'm not getting rid of them. I'm not going to stop reviewing them. But I just want to put it out there that there are some really, really capable budget options out there, and you really don't have to spend a lot of money to get a great knife. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This was from Justin over at White Mountain Knives. I believe he may not have had any of the standard finished ones when I checked last time, but I think there were still some Damascus ones in stock, and he does carry a wide range of Civivi, so that'd be a great place to start. Also check out Southern Edge Knife Works. They've got they have less selection, but they do have some Civivis in stock over there as well, and they may have had a riffle, use discount code SHARPSTUFF at either place. You'll save 10% at White Mountain Knives and 15% at Southern Edge Knife Works. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.